Okay, before we jump into some real cases, the big question for me always is why? Why are we looking at Copilot Studio? What is the time we're living in? And for me, one important moment was about a year ago when GPT came out. Everyone played with it. I showed it to my 14-year-old son, and a few weeks later, I asked him whether he uses it and what he does with it, and he showed me what he did, and he is not fond of French. And so what he created this kind of prompt where he could interact with GPT. It was GPT at that time. And what was fascinating for me was that in this prompt, he engineered something. He asked the Copilot in that sense, or the GPT, to answer to specific inputs from him. So if he presses a 1 or presses a 2, it should react in that way. And by this, he created a program, all with very little knowledge about technology, but with some intelligence. And I think that's the age we're living in. And that's why we're talking about Copilot. That's what we see our customers that they expect, or what they wonder. How will it change the way that we interact with systems, that we interact with customers, that we lead our conversations? So just very quickly, as Adriana said, I'm at iSolutions, Senior Expert Consultant, Solution Architect, so I'm mostly in the hands-on business with our customers, consulting them and showing them how to use the stuff, how to use the technology. I'm focusing mainly on Power Platform, have some 15 years experience in Microsoft Business Applications, and am part of iSolutions. For those who don't know us, Let's Have a Coffee, which is the walking distance away in the circle, based in Zurich, Bern, and Basel, and we have a nearshore office in Barcelona as well. Would love to get to know you over a coffee, either at your or our place. But enough of that. Copilot Studio in action. The first case is a very typical one that we see. We see a lot in demos, but we see also a lot of customers requesting that if they want to do proof of concept and so on. So it's the use case of an HR bot, the combination of information giving and interaction with HR systems. So let me switch over to the demo. It's exactly the same thing that I'm showing here that we showed at the Ignite in the beginning of March. So in this case, we have a Copilot that's integrated into Teams. It's a chat bot that we created, and it is boosted up with information from our HR. So I can ask it questions and it will answer based on the questions, as you know it from the M365 Copilot, where the data in the background is your Graph API. In this case, it's very specific information that the Copilot can answer with. But that's not the only thing that customers want to see, but the way to interact even more. And so in this case, I can book some vacation over the time systems. And the Copilot now asks me some very specific questions back. And what is important to know, and which I will show a bit later on, is how it does this. So of course you could do that by scripting the conversation very precisely previously, before we had large language model, when we had Power Virtual Agent. But what we do here is an interaction where the Copilot knows a lot about the interface and can lead the conversation itself. So this interaction with the backend system that we provide here in a conversational interface can do other things as well. Obviously, I could ask how many vacation days I have, and the Copilot can as well look into the backend system, into the HR system, and tell me what I've done so far. So let's go. If you have questions at any point, please interrupt me, and we can do that. But we'll certainly do Q&A after the session as well. So how can we do this? If you've never been to it, this is a Copilot Studio. When you go into it, and what you see in the first moment is that we can create custom Copilots. This is what we've seen right now. These can be integrated into different channels, and we have also the option to extend a Microsoft Copilot. My last case will go into a bit of that one. The first one, what we've seen, is a custom Copilot, a custom HR bot. So I could just go here, create a custom Copilot, and it will set everything up in the background. Takes a few minutes. Don't want to do that right now. But purely in the Power Platform, in the low-code environment. So I don't have to care about setting up Azure resources or anything like that. The first thing we see is generative AI is very prominently placed here. So what I can do with this is I can tell my Copilot what kind of information, what kind of background information it should look up, how it should create answers, how it should lead the conversations. So in this case, we will just add a few files. Could be from a website, could be obviously from a SharePoint source. Here I just uploaded our employee manual. And what I could do as well, of course, is include an Azure OpenAI model. So there we would have the GPT model hosted in Azure and fine-tune it. In the Azure OpenAI model, we can a lot more fine-tuning and configuration of the Copilot, of how it should answer, how it should behave, what kind of information is in the background. But what we do with this is we ground the Copilot, and then we have some more options that are important. One is the dynamic chaining with generative AI actions. A mouthful. What it means is with chatbots prior to the large language models, to the generative AI, you had to be very specific in chaining these conversations. So there was a lot of engineering effort that our customers going into defining how the conversational flow would look like, so that the appearance of an interaction, of a real conversation, would emerge. And with the dynamic chaining actions, dynamic chaining with generative actions, what we can do here is describe the different conversational topics or describe back-end interfaces in natural language. And what Copilot does is then figure out in the conversation with the user what the intent is and which action or which topic in the conversational topic is the relevant. And the second important part here is the boost conversational coverage with generative answer, which means exactly what we've seen in the first part of the HR bot, is that we can ask questions and have the source and it answers it as you know it from M365 or the Copilot Bing chat. So there's company-specific information behind there, and you can lead a conversation with it. So these are the two most important things to get the first part running of what we've seen before. Just pull in some documents and you can start chatting with the information that is in there. The second part, where we have an interaction with the backend system, is are these actions. And what they can do is interact or integrate system logic. In our case, it would have been the HR system that either tells me how much vacation days I have taken, or it can do actions like booking, do some time entry. And there's two components to it. So one component is the actual integration, what's actually happening in the background. And here we are in good old Power Automate, with all the 1,000+ connectors, the custom connectors, the way we can do create connectivity to all kinds of systems. What's new is this run flow from Copilot, respond to Copilot, which gives us the interaction where we can say, okay, if we do our our vacation booking. I could say, okay, I need an employee, and maybe I need a date. Let's say from, and maybe a number of days. And so I've defined my input, and then obviously in between there I would do the actions and access our backend system, maybe a Dataverse or an SAP or whatever that system is. So this is the one part, and the other part, how we glue this together. Let's save this quickly. So I didn't really name it, so that was a bad idea. But I take another one. So the next part is describing this in natural language, and this is a very important step. And I think this is something where we see that our customers that there is a new type of job emerging, like the prompt engineer. That is a very important discipline. Also, this describing system interfaces in natural language is very important, because what I would do here is exactly this, describing those input parameters in natural language. And what Copilot does with it is create this conversation with the user. So if Copilot finds out, so first of all, I describe the action itself, what it does. So Copilot can derive the intent, what the user wants to do. So in this case, he wants to book vacation. So this is probably the right action to do. And the other part is describing the input parameters so that the Copilot can ask for them. So far, so good. Let's go back to the case. So with this case, we have used Copilot Studio with generative answers, where we had information in the background, documents that the Copilot can use to create answers. And we've also used the Power Automate to interact with backend systems. And of course, this can be published to websites, or what is very typical for intra company applications, very easily to Teams. The next case is a proof of concept that we did for Fahrzug. So now imagine we have Peter, and he has this new house. He has realized the dream of his new home, where he has this very slick and minimal design kitchen from Fahrzug. One Sunday afternoon, he wants to cook something, but the cooktop won't turn on. So what can Peter do? He goes to he takes out his mobile phone and goes to the Fahrzug website, and there is greeted by a friendly Copilot who asks Peter what the problem is. So Peter says his cooktop is not working, and now this Copilot has some conversational intelligence. It can rephrase and paraphrase what Peter told it, and can probe for more information if that is not enough. So Peter just said it's not turning on, and this Copilot is now, again, it's a public available Copilot, but in the backend it has all the information about the knowledge base from Fahrzug. So Peter can quickly find the specific information. He reads about the child safety feature, so that might be the problem. So he asks how he can turn this off, and again the Copilot knows about the knowledge base and immediately finds the relevant information for Peter. And he hasn't to browse through a manual of which he doesn't know where it really is, or look it up on the web. Now, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So Peter needs a technician to come to solve the problem. And again, the Copilot is friendly. He can paraphrase. He can be at least do the appearance of a real conversation, asks Peter for some serial number, and now it's backed up with installed base from Fazug. So he can tell Peter, yeah, this is the right thing. Now, the back and forth that we've seen previously is probably not the right way. There needs to be some more structured information, but because this is all built on Power Virtual Agent, we can use that. We can use these adaptive cards, have some form. Peter does not have to leave the context, does not have to go somewhere else. And now the Copilot goes back to the field service system, looks up for available technicians, provides some dates, and comes back with some suggestions. And after some back and forth, they both they find an agreement, and Peter is happy that the technician will come and solve the problem. So, of course, for Fazug, this is a great case. They're eager to implement it, and because it will reduce their effort, it will help them to help their customers more quickly and increase the first contact resolution. What we've seen here are some topics, some GPTs to make the bot very conversationally adaptive and intelligent. Generative answers, again, it's provided over a web channel, so it's public-facing. Customer could use it, uses the SharePoint knowledge, uses GPT prompts for this rephrasing and interaction with the customer, and then Power Automate, obviously, to interact with the backend systems, which could be any kind of system. Again, we have the full connectivity of Power Automate and the Power Platform. The last case, very quickly, is SBB journey. In this case, we are looking at Copilot Studio. We're looking at the case where we make Copilot Studio about Microsoft Copilot, where we have an interaction or an integration with the M365 Copilot. So the idea is that you can, in your M365 Copilot, create or get some information about train connections. Let's have a look at it. So in this case, it is a plugin that we, together with SBB, are developing. That, if all goes well, we will publish on the Teams store, so that any company can use that, can provide that in their Teams. You see here there's as an app that works with Copilot, which is a specific category of apps. And now we go to the M365 Copilot, where we can activate this as a plugin. So after the SBB journey is available in my M365 Copilot, I don't have to worry about selecting and finding the right channel or the right app, but the Copilot can recognize that this request is for the SBB plugin and provide me the information, and also provide some detailed information where we have these different cards where I could from there buy a ticket, or maybe in the future add it to my calendar, share it with my colleagues, and so on. And this gives a handy way to interact directly from M365 Copilot, not only with graph data, but with any kind of applications. So in this case, this one is developed. There is an option to do M365 plugins as well in the Copilot Studio with low-code approach. This is still in preview, but here we have something developed on the Azure backend, a separate service that accesses the Open Data API. And again, we have with this plugin a natural language description that then enables us to provide it in M365 Copilot, so the Copilot can call it.